moving on to the athlete's mask.
Yeah.
The definition: he's a man who destroys himself running for a finish line that doesn't exist. From page 43, to be a football player, a pro football player, was to be a man. As Joe said in his popular TED talk in Baltimore, the city where he made his name as a football player. Culturally, we associate masculinity with athletic ability, size or strength, or some sort of skill set that allows you to compete on the playground and win. Is there a negative perspective to have from that outlook of being a man? Is there anything?
Sorry, repeat that just one last time. I do apologise.
What, the excerpt or the question?
The question.
Is there a negative perspective to have from saying we associate masculinity with being athletic, with athletic ability, size or strength, or some sort of skill set that allows you to compete on the playground and win? Is there a negative perspective?
Can I ask you a counter question to that? Growing up, were you maybe not Adele, well Adele, you can answer it as well, but it's particularly to the guys. Were you encouraged by one of your parents to be involved in some kind of sport? Some kind of athletic sport?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Why do you think that was?
I was naturally good at sport.
No, but why do you think you were encouraged? Is that why? Or do you, what do you...
Going
out to the nucleus of it.
I enjoyed playing sport, and my mum and dad were athletic and sporty, so it was natural for me to be sporty, and I had a lot of energy, so I'd always... Whatever I seemed to pick up, whether it was running, playing football, table tennis, whatever it may be, I was decent at it, at least, you know what I mean? I was at a good level, so I was always encouraged to continue to play sport, but at the same time I was also raised in a house where it's not just about sport, you have to do your books.
Okay.
So that's one aspect, but again, that may be a cultural or individual thing. But my question going back to is that a negative perspective to have in terms of masculinity being about athleticism?
No, I don't. I don't. I mean, there's a few things. I'm not too sure. I know we're talking about athletic. Well, obviously, we're talking about the athletic mask here. I think certainly, because I know we touched on the playground, didn't you? Mm-hmm. I think in the playground, I think half the problem nowadays, I think we're definitely over PC, and it's a word I've used a few times. I'm not too sure if people are going to be familiar, but I think there's a massive wussification of like the kids that we've got like nowadays, where we're really overprotective and stuff like that. At this moment in time, I'm like teaching in a school and PE and stuff like that, and we're being like overprotective in terms of where the kids their knees are going to be on the gravel and stuff like that. Like, are you having a laugh? Like, I've got scars all over my knees. Like, I mean, these are the type of stuff that kind of like built you and made you stronger. As to like,
I'm not surprised you haven't got any.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, certainly, you're not going to catch it on the camera, or you may catch it on the camera. I'm not too sure, but like, these are things that kind of like made you as an individual, and certainly like the story. I know there's a story in regards to a character called Steve. I can't actually remember the story, but what I actually put down in my notes that his story is incredible. But going like onto Lewis Howes, I mean, certainly his story. I remember there's something he said in the book where he was once like picked last in one of the activities in a playground, and from there he made it his thing, but that will never ever happen again, and he dominated that game. Yes, and he ended up being an all-American football player. I think he did something in handball, and then he ended up being an author. From looking at it from my perspective, that did him the world of good, and I'm sure it does everyone else the world of good. It's not saying like another individual didn't go on to be successful. They might not be an all-American, but they might have used that type of experience to be successful somewhere else. Yeah. But what you got now is everyone gets a gold medal. Gold medal for you, gold medal for you, gold medal for you. No, actually, you came last, all right? He came first. That's true, and you learn from that lesson. Yeah. That's the way it should be. My personal opinion. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't really understand. And you can't tell people he came last. Like, I've actually got to watch my language in the playground. I'm not talking about like bad language as to whether you're good, bad, or indifferent. It's a joke. It's a mad joke. I don't understand that. These things help me. It's funny because obviously I'd never played at a pro club, this and the third. I was involved in professional football, but I'm trying to think. Like, I won like Players Player of the Year at a local club. I was under 16 at the time, and I remember there was an experience the year before that made me think, actually, you know what? I'm actually going to see if I can do this, this, and this, and actually apply myself the following year. And I'm sure these type of experiences actually make and their character building. Yeah. So all this wussification stuff, everyone gets a certificate.
So it's not a negative.
Far from negative, in my point of view.
Mace?
The reason why I counteracted your question earlier was because I was definitely raised in a household where athletics and football, and more importantly, winning was crucial. And so from young, I was into football, I was into sports, I was into athletics, and you had to be good. You had to try and be the best, or you had to be the best. I remember from young, growing up in the borough of Ealing, in Hamwell, for those who know it. My dad and we used to go running. We'd run around the block, and literally, like at the end, I'd have to have a sprint left in me, and I was racing my dad. I was like 8, 9 years old, racing my dad, and he's not giving up. Like we're sprinting at the end, and I'm like, "Yo, come on, like give me a win, like boost my confidence."
Yeah.
Nah, but it stood me in good stead, because when I'd done, like, we used to do borough athletics championships, and I'd win those events. Do you know what I'm saying? If you look at society, athletes, football players, they are lauded. You get the glamorous girls, you get the entry to the nightclubs, you get the VIP, you get this. So in that sense, it's almost like it's seen as like the enhancement of your masculinity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Almost like you are the man. Like this is how society perceives you.
Yeah.
Is that a negative or not?
I personally don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's negative in any way, shape or form.
I don't know.
I don't know, but it depends on the individual at the end of the day. Do you know what I'm saying? Because society's telling you one thing, and deep down, you might just be inside. It might not be you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you think about that person, and that's how society sees them. But then, what is their life like behind closed doors?
Yeah, man. I'm telling you. So, I don't know, friends.
Cool.
I don't know. I find it difficult. I mean, the whole athletic thing. I mean, I think like with stuff, not with the mask, but I mean with how we finish off there. Like we got to deal with reality. Truth be told, I mean, like if we take that into let's call it the professional game. Like people are competing for 11 spaces. Like just call it like a starting 11 in a football team. We got a squad of 22. We're not all playing. That's not happening today. We're picking 11. Like I mean, you've actually got to be strong enough, whether it's physically, mentally, and to be in a position to be picked. Like I don't know. I'm in a place where, I mean, the educational system. I'm not going to use any like derogatory terms in regards to the educational system, but I think it's in a real place where, I don't know. I haven't even got the words to kind of like describe where the place is in this moment. But I think it's definitely real PC at the moment. Everyone's tiptoeing over this and tiptoeing over that kind of thing. But yeah, it's really inclusive, which is not a problem. But let's be honest. I mean, there are those who are good at this and those who are unfortunately not so good at that.
Alright, so moving on.
What's your thoughts?
I said it's not a negative.
Okay.
To kind of add to that, there is a darker side to it as well, especially when boys learn simultaneously that sports are a place to excel and that their masculinity is tied to that excellence. That is a lie, Ehrman says. Being a man doesn't have a single thing to do with athletic ability. On page 47, Joe Ehrman put it, nothing is quite so painful as feeling you don't quite measure up as a man. That is exactly how athletes feel when they are no longer athletes.
Not just athletes, boy. The everyday person as well, trust me.
And men will do anything to delay that crushing feeling. One of the common ways guys to do this is when they play through injuries. Have you ever played through an injury or pain to maintain face?
I'm going to eventually answer that question, but I just want to... Something stuck that straight away hit home with me. Mm-hmm. And when I was younger, and it's audience, listeners, viewers, excuse my mum for using this language, but when I was younger, my mum knew, she used to say, like, if I ever, like, me and mum would have a disagreement, she'd go, shut up, you puff. And she... I'm going to have to cut that. But she knew that would grind my gears, because it's just, it makes you feel so demasculated. Yeah.
Easy for you to say. Doesn't matter. Go on.
Yeah, so, and I'm just... No, so basically, I can't remember the point I was making. It was something during your question, but it's just that whole thing where you don't feel manly anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's coming from someone who's supposed to, like, eventually you're going to be the man, and do you know what I'm saying? You're going to look after them or whatever.
Have you ever played through an injury or pain to maintain face?
Yeah, do you know what? I play weekly. I play 5-a-side weekly, yeah? And no word of a lie, I haven't been to the doctors because men don't do that, yeah? But, real men don't do that, yeah? But the last few weeks, I've had something on my hip, my lower back is in agony, and on my left foot, if I curl up my left foot like that, I've got a pain here, and I just play through it every week. Because I'm like, it hasn't killed me.
So, do you think that's a masculine thing to do?
It's a Mason thing to do.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's a masculine thing to do or not. You guys maybe can shed some more insight.
I think in like that question, like, I'm not going to talk about injuries per se, but certainly I think when you're actually playing a game, I think if someone puts the hurting on you, and you show a sign of weakness, he's got you, and he's got one over you.
Good point.
Once he's got one over you, he can do it again.
It's a good point.
And football is all a mental game. Everyone's roughly I don't want to say everyone's roughly the same level, but by and large,
When you get to a certain level, everyone's roughly...
Yeah, everyone's roughly the same. And it's all here. It's all mental. And if I decide to... What people want... Hit him... That's more often not in this game. Hit him quickly. And let's see how he wants to... see if he wants to play again.
If he wants to.
If he wants to. If he doesn't want it, then you hit him again. And then from there... No, it's true. You hit him again. And it's all psychological warfare. Yeah. And then you play your football. Hit him a couple of times. He doesn't want it. Then you play your football.
When I was young, cause I play as a defender in football. When I was young, I was told, give him a slide tackle and go right through him. Take the ball and take everything out. Hit him early. And you know, he won't want to come near you again.
Yeah, that was
that's what man was taught. You know what I'm saying? So I see it
for a reason.
It's a psychological thing. Every time you come over here, you better be on you better want it, basically.
Well, you better get rid of the ball quickly. One of the two. If you're the better football inside, get it and pop it quickly before he gets there. And that's all the part of the warfare. If I'm playing in the middle of part one who I know someone's better than me, hit him, get him quickly. Hit him once, the next time he's going to get rid of that ball, or he's not going to want the ball. Then he'll go missing in the game. I don't fancy it. Then that's that. It's definitely important.
So have you ever played through injury?
No, not played through injury. Not myself, not played through injury, no, to answer your question. No, but sorry, but I mean, I think people purposely play through injury because they are not allowed to show signs of weaknesses.
No, but you get a lot of nowadays players that they trip over the ball. And
No, but that's gamesmanship. They're trying to get one over you in terms of getting closer to the goal. I'm talking about if I'm playing in the middle, anywhere really. If I do something to you and I inflict pain on you, it kind of shows a sign of weakness. I think there's any type of small edge that you can get over your opponent, people happy to take. That's the reason why people are diving nowadays.
So there's a player. And it's probably a number of players who have done this, but there's one that sticks to mind because I'm a Newcastle fan. Kieran Dyer used to be a decent player. I think he was playing for Ipswich at the time, Ipswich Town, and he actually broke his leg in a football match and carried on playing.
I ain't doing that.
And it was almost like, and I can't remember what his reasoning was behind it, but I think Ipswich needed the points, and it was almost like, well, similar to me, I'm not dead or I'm not dying. It hurts a little bit. He didn't realise he'd actually broken his leg at the time. But yeah, people, maybe that is the masculine thing to do. Right, you got to knock, you run it off. You got to knock, run it off. That used to be the term.
I think especially in football, it's a lads game. Like rugby as well. So that's that. Like we grew up with images when you see a man flipping, get his head bust and wrap it round and get back on the field. And keep going. So I think it's the norm to kind of play with an injury. Like just get on with it. Like unless you physically can't get up and you've been knocked out, then crack on. That's how I was raised anyway in terms of when injured.
Adele, did you play many sports when you were younger?
No. Netball. But it's not really.
I say French. That's why we both got knee problems now.
Exactly.
No, I was only netball. It wasn't aggressive, but I can see, as you said, the kind of psychology behind. You're hurt, but you keep going, and I guess in that context, you're also part of the team. So if you drop out, you're also letting the team down as well.
Yeah, there is that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When a player literally gets depleted and knocked flat, then gets back in the game, fans go crazy. But when that player seeks medical attention or takes himself out of the game, the reaction is often indifferent or worse. Players who don't play through the pain or who take too long coming back from injury are often considered weak. That's on page 48. We don't respect self-care in men. We respect invincibility. A man's interest in sports allows him to bond with strangers in social situations and can often serve as the bedrock for the certain relationships with friends and family.
True.
There's a feeling of being left out when amongst groups of family and friends when you can't contribute to a conversation. Digging deep into all things, as Steve went on, even when you take those characters, what happened in most of those characters, what happened in most of these movies? They were serving others, and ultimately their needs came second. That is really at the core of happiness, I think, and at the core of all, and that's at the core of all guys in my life who I look up to. Page 50. Who is your most influential athlete you look up to?
There's a few, man. Depends what sport, really.
Yeah,
but there's loads of inspiration. I think. All right, I'll give you one. Linford Christie, and that's only because I know that he's a friend of the family.
Yeah.
So when someone's closer to home, you can relate more to them, I think.
Yeah.
So like, he used to, when I was a kid, he used to pop around to my grand's and stuff.
Yeah.
So Linford Christie, I don't care, like, literally, and it's almost blind because I don't know. I think later in his career they tried to call him a drug cheat and all the rest of it. I don't know if that ever got cleared up.
Yeah.
But I just ignored all that. He was a hero because he was
could see
around
him
my
and touch
family.
him.
Do you know what I'm saying? He grew up and he had this stadium named after him. All the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then you've got a lot of the early black football players as well, like your Cyril Regises and stuff like that. They're heroes because of what they would have had to gone through. If they had started giving up in that day and age when they were first coming through, there wouldn't be the influx, and it wouldn't be as easy for black players as it is now in the football world to get where they've got to. If those guys that had to take the real stick and abuse had given up. Do you get what I'm saying? So you've got to look at those guys and you've got to recognise. It's the same in a lot of the scene, even the music scene. People always go back to like your Soul Solids, what they went through to create a scene, their music buzz, and to stay relevant. And it's like a building block. It's like foundations. Whereby now you've got this influx of young people who can actually come out of flipping school, college, not academically the best, and one of the other alternative options is now a career in music, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got so many influences. I can mainly relate them to athletics, football, boxing as well, like people like Lennox Lewis, people like that. So there's many influences, man. There's more than that. There's more. I think it's sports related, but there's a lot more.
Yeah. And I was talking about more because we're on athletic.
Yeah. So those people I could look at and say they're inspirational figures, and not say I follow their path because I haven't been blessed with a gift to be as athletic as them to make a career out of it. But it definitely resonates with you that my people can make a living and kind of progress forward and are recognised for their value in society, and you kind of get your MBEs, your OBs and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? There's a recognition there. Even Wiley, we've grown up in his era when it was we were going to these under 18s and all the rest of it where it was a couple of quid to get in, 100 people in the venue going bananas, and you know what I mean? He's brought through such a culture. It's amazing. It's good. It's amazing. It's proud. It's proud to be part of that generation, even if you haven't actually actively influenced yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like probably just kind of like taking a leaf out of kind of Mason's book. Well, like going in the opposite direction. Obviously, he spoke about people from the past. If I think of someone who's maybe inspired me in this generation, I would have went with someone maybe like Clarence Seedorf, someone again who's black. But at the same time, when I look back as to his history, certainly in football, from a very young age, he was able to accomplish things which not any other footballer could have done in terms of winning the European Cup at a really young age. But then he's gone to move to Italy. He's been very successful in Italy. Then he's done the same thing, moved to Spain and been very successful in Spain. And he seems to have done things which I ultimately would love to do as well, in terms of maybe living in other countries and being successful there as well. So he's someone who I definitely aspire to, and also very articulate. And I think he's known across football as like a real gentleman kind of thing. So I'd say someone like him personally, kind of like an idol, someone you look up to anyway.
Cool. Adele, is there any influential athletes you look up to?
Not necessarily that I look up to.
Even influences in your professional field, maybe.
In my professional field.
Yeah. I mean, what?
No, it's so funny. It's not. She wasn't directly in my professional field as such, but Nina Simone. So as a black woman who had mental health problems, but in an era where you had to really kind of fight for black people's rights, and she, despite her problems, she still was on that kind of pillar and took that stand for black people. Yeah, that's something I'll always kind of take with me in that sense. But in terms of athletics, I think for my parents growing up, it wasn't really a football household. It was cricket.
Yeah.
And my dad is obsessed with cricket, and especially Brian Lara.
Yeah. She knew that was coming out your mouth.
And I think something that was always instilled, kind of what you were saying, that when you do anything outside the home, you're kind of representing your family and what you do. And my parents always kind of instilled in me that as a West Indian, you've got to always try and put black people, West Indians, on the map. You know, what you do. So even in my role in psychology, I think 90% of the workforces that I've worked in, I've always been the only black from psychology. So, yeah.
Do you know what's crazy? And I take it to another level as well, Adele. So, like Pocker touched on earlier, that I like to travel. Pocker likes to travel. I like to travel a lot. But I've been into certain countries where literally people have said to me, "What the hell are you doing going there?" And I've done like little teaching excursions and stuff in these countries. And one of the things, and I'm not no like martyr or anything like that, but one of the things that I love to showcase is that a lot of these countries, there might not be many black people in their country. They might not have met many black people who were not from their country as well. They've only just seen athletes and so on TV. And so when they see your everyday person, I don't think we sometimes realise how important it is that we portray ourselves, that we're not all, because sometimes you get these various news stations, they only portray certain things going in society that are bad. And it's important that when they meet your everyday person, actually, we're educated, we're trying to get on in life, we can have a conversation, we're interested in historical sites in the world and cultural events. And when I've done certain teaching excursions in certain countries, which are not maybe frequented by a lot of black people, they warm to me, and they can't believe it. They're like, first they're like, "Where were you born?" I'm like, UK, London. And they're like, "What about no, but you lived there, but where were you born?" No, I was born there. My parents too. Like, yeah. Oh, okay. And then I start speaking, and they warm to me. By the end of like these teaching excursions, they're like, "Oh, take my number, come and visit whenever you want to come. I have a apartment in city centre." And I'm just like, what we need to realise is that when they have their offspring, when the next generation comes through, they can talk about that one experience where they had an amazing time meeting me or whoever else, and actually they're not all like that. Like he's like, get to know that person. Do you know what I mean? It's so important.
That preconception.
Yeah, exactly. And it's and that's one of the things I love. I'm into football big time. One of the things I love about football is it can break down so many barriers. You've got someone in this day and age right now, I think it's Mohamed Salah. He is on fire, and he's a Muslim guy. You know how Muslims at the moment in society are portrayed, and you've got thousands of Scousers screaming his name from the terraces. Do you know what that does in terms of breaking down racial barriers in society? It does wonders. It does absolute wonders, and that's what I love about the power of not just football but sports. It's like it proper hits home to me when someone like Mo Salah. You've got thousands screaming his name who might have had these preconceived ideas from the news that all of this or do this and what. And no, actually, he's a lovely guy. You can see from his demeanour, he's down to earth. And literally him playing for Liverpool could save 10 families from being abused on certain roads in Merseyside. Do you get what I'm saying? Literally,
believe that.
I'm telling you, it's so,
100%
people don't realise the power of sport. They really don't.
100% believe that.
Okay, cool. Moving on slightly. As athletes, we're obsessed with how we look, with how we perform, and with winning. We're consumed by competition as the measuring stick for our manhood. But our self-worth has nothing to do with those images. It has to do with our values and principles. That's coming from page 58. Specifically, our self-worth has less to do with our physical contributions to the world, and much more to do with our relationships and the positive legacy that we leave behind. It goes on to say what's available when you drop this athletic mask. Again, it's a bit similar to
similar. So
the previous topic.
Shall I read them off, list them off? You've got them on.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Do you mind if I just go before that?
That's
I see, like, in regards to dropping the mask, I think there was a story, I think maybe just before the end, about a character called Steve. I'm not too sure what type of sportsman he was. I'm just going to say he played for the NFL. I think it goes on to touch on that he was making, I think, approximately, say, $3 million per year, and I think timekeeping was very, very important for him. I think there was, at one point, I think he was unable to make a flight, and obviously because timekeeping was really, really important to him, I think he
rented a car.
He rented a car.
Yeah,
So he rented a car, and I'm looking at the story right now.
It was some kind of storm or bad weather conditions.
Yeah, definitely right. And I think I think he went through. It wasn't a puddle, but I'm going to say he went through some type of like puddle, pool of water, and had a crash. And he happened to be fine, but not long after that, in the same incident, someone else actually went through the water as well, and actually had a really, really bad crash. And I think he managed to help the person. I'm not too sure whether the person survived or not.
They did. He pulled. So what he done? They had a bad crash. The car flipped, and because of all the infusion running through his body, he somehow managed to get the back door open and drag them out.
Yeah, talking about adrenaline and stuff like that. Yeah,
adrenaline.
Yeah, and then from there, I think, he kind of like, from being an avid sports performer or professional, I mean, he decided, I think, not too long after that, he kind of retired from the sport, really. And that, I think he realised probably there's more to life than sports and stuff like that. And that's where, kind of like maybe in closing the chapter, you're talking about the taking off or the unveiling of the mask kind of thing.
It
where
put everything into perspective.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that came up earlier in that story, his wife had just had a baby.
That was it. That's why he was away.
Yeah, his wife had just had a baby, and she wanted him to stay for another day or a few hours.
Yeah.
He said, I've got a game. And then he had this big accident, and he realised there's a lot more to life than me earning this $3 million a year and playing this sport. My wife needs me. And I think he kind of, you're going to cry.
That's his kind of epiphany, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he realised, you know what? I've got a family at home. $3 million a year. Do I need it still? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not important. Like money is, in the society we live in, money is important to it almost equivalents to freedom, choice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you've got it, how much do you really need? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How much you really need, and think about what's going on apart from that. What's important to you?
Bigger than yourself.
And it's amazing because I know in this book they've got a couple quotes obviously in bold. So like the couple of the bold ones I think within the story are to armchair psychologies. I think it says for a second. I think what happened to Steve in that moment was that the athletic mask ripped off, and I think the second one, which is quite good, I think, is you know it's cool to have a Super Bowl ring. He told me, but dude, in 10 years' time, nobody's gonna care. Nobody will ever remember my name, but they'll remember if I impact their life. Obviously, talking about the individual who had the accident. That's why I'm retiring from National League football. I want to have a legacy. I want to have an impact. And he goes on to say again in bold, prosperity, Steve said, is a combination of health, wealth, happiness, and love. And I gravitate towards people like that because I want that in my own life, and I want to share that with people as well.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good way to round up that shit. So
it was
cool. The material mask. A man's ledger does not tell what he is or what he is worth. Count what is in him, not what is on him. If you would know what he is worth, whether rich or poor, Henry Ward Beecher. A huge portion of this drive is evolutionary. For much of human history, a man's ability to provide determined all of his prospects in life. Before money, it was literally bringing home the bacon. The guy who had made the most resources was the most attractive. As a result, he was the most powerful, the most important, the most manly. Ty described the dangers of money quite well. He said, I think that if you're not careful, money is like a pit bull. A pit bull can save your life or it can turn around and kill you. That's on page 66. Any commodity that is vital to survival determines who the alpha male may be, which is dependent on the success of gaining the said commodity. Going on with what Ty said, with money, your happiness doesn't change, but I will tell you, not having enough money is very stressful. The lack of money and resources is the root of all evil. Do you think money is the root of all evil?
No, he said the lack of money. Don't try and trick the question.
I'm asking you a question.
I know, but are you saying the lack of money or money?
I'm asking you, is money the root of all evil?
Is money? No, it's not.
Okay. Please.
That still was a trick question.
No, it wasn't.
All right.
So what, did anyone feel tricked?
Yeah, because he said the lack of money. Then you turned around and said, "Is money the root of all?" He said the lack of money.
Yeah, I know. And I asked, there was no tricking about it. You heard what I said.
No, I don't think money's a root of all evil. I think I wrote some notes on this. Obviously, I'm not too sure exactly where they're. So we're in different pages, but no. So I got an iPad. Obviously, well, it doesn't matter. No, we both got iPads. All right, sorry.
Just kill me.
All right, sorry. All right, so but I think money kind of like enhances. Very similar to the mask. So I think if you're an evil person by nature, you put on the mask. I think it's only going to embellish it. I think if you're a nice person with money, then I think you're only going to hopefully go on to do things of a kind nature, if that makes any sense. Cool. My personal opinion.
Adele?
When you say money, I mean money's a necessity
in our society. In our society, it's a
to live, to survive.
Yeah. Equals choice. I think French and I agree on that one.
Yeah.
It equals choice.
Yeah, well, and to an extent, survival. But
Yeah.
when we think about money, is it having excess amounts of money and being able to kind of flash the money? Is that what we're talking about, or just money?
Yeah, it's just in general. Just in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. For me, when I think about money, it's for survival.
Mm-hmm.
But then, if we're thinking about people who have excess amounts of money and they're in positions where they're able to kind of represent themselves because they have so much money, then yeah, it can be the root of all evil.
Okay. I don't think it is the root of all evil. For me, as I said, me and Mace have spoken about it a couple of times. But for me, the way I view money is it gives you options and access, and that's how I view it. Mm-hmm. It's not okay. Obviously, when it comes to the root of all evil, there's evil things that you can do to get money, but is getting money evil? No, not at all. But that's my opinion on that. Shame and uncertainty are only a few short steps away from depression and anxiety. Separately or together, those emotions can drive you to the brink. They can blot out everything else in your life and literally make you crazy. That's on page 68. Mm-hmm. Does shame and uncertainty come to mind when you're low on peas?
Did you add that in yourself? I think there's definitely a level of embarrassment. Oh, not embarrassment. Shame, embarrassment.
Shame and uncertainty.
Yeah, I think it's definitely uncertainty because you have no idea what's next.
Yeah.
Because you are literally at rock bottom, so you have no idea where you're going to go from there on in. So yeah, the answer to that is yes.
I think uncertainty, yes. Shame only comes to mind. It depends on how when you've had the money, how you've portrayed yourself with the money.
Okay.
That's right. Because you could have money and just still behave the same as when you don't have money.
Yeah.
And there's no shame. No one would know.
Yeah.
But if you're there making it rain in the club, and then 5 minutes later you're jingling, then there's a bit of shame. People are bad, man. They will see it. Yo. Where's them tens? You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, but uncertainty, yes. Shame, not necessarily.
Cool.
I think there's only one time I've ever felt shame when it's come to being short of money, and that is going into a shop and your car's been declined. And
Wow.
I know.
Decline.
And having to do, oh my god, there must be something wrong with
What
my
happened?
card. You're thinking, shit.
Yeah.
No, just it was payday, but I hadn't cleared in time. That was it. That was it. But that was enough for me to feel shame and think, wow, like, don't ever find yourself in that position again.
That's what I was going to say, a story. No, I will say anyway, I don't care. There's one time I was going out with this girl, and I think I must have, maybe I might have either taken out before, or like we went somewhere previously and we bought some drinks and stuff like that. So she felt obliged to pay for whatever it is we're buying. So we've gone into Voodoo Rays, and then she's gone into. I've mentioned Voodoo Rays a few times, haven't I?
Every episode, this guy mentions Voodoo Rays.
So we've gone into Voodoo Rays. So we've gone into Voodoo Rays. We've gone into Voodoo Rays, and she's been like, "I got this, don't worry." Deek, as you said, deek. And then guess what she did? By the way, I'm in trouble if she sees this anyway. Right? By the way, it's all bants, yes? All bants, we're having a laugh. Alright, no shame whatsoever. I thought it was funny at the time, but I kept it to myself.
Yeah.
She pulled out another card.
Yeah.
Guess what happened?
Tell me. Tell us. Tell us.
Then guess what she did after that? Pulled out another one.
No way.
Yeah, and then I said, "Oh, I got this." Story, you get it next time. Next time.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
Did
she feel shamed?
No, I made her comfortable, so don't worry about it. It's not a problem.
She wasn't like, oh, like proper, like, I'm so sorry. This never happens. To
No,
me.
I think she was a bit sheepish to begin with the first one, and after the second, I thought, bloody hell, man. So I
you're feeling shamed.
I think who's that swim in the Olympics?
Which one?
Oh god, a couple Olympics ago, where the black guy in the swimming pool, where he was like swimming for like say 2-3. That's it, Eric the Ill.
Yeah,
was swimming for like 5 minutes after everyone had finished, trying to finish the race. I was like, love, I got this. Don't worry.
Oh gosh.
Most guys who feel that shame and anxiety attempt to compensate for it. I was no different because I felt so low. I would fantasize that someday I would be rich. My wealth would mean that I finally mattered. I could rest easy knowing that I could afford to live up to my obligations as a man and not be a burden on my family or anyone else. Do you agree or have empathy with this statement at all?
I definitely empathise with the statement. I think by and large, I think a lot of men or people in general definitely want to be able to support and provide for their family. Is it a be all and end all? I'm not too sure. I think we're talking about providing for other people. I think first and foremost, people need to learn to provide for themselves. But I think that is generally, I'm going to say that's probably the goal for everybody. I'm going to say they want to be able to provide for their family. So I can definitely empathise with that thought.
I'm agreeing with Pops.
I think everyone's in agreement with that, really. This is where the material mask so often gets in men's way. Wearing this mask compels you to a highlight that are not beneficial to your ability to establish real lasting self-worth. Curating these superficial trappings requires time and energy that you could otherwise use to cultivate the real you hiding behind the mask. Is stunting an effort, or is it a positive or a negative?
It's BS. Yeah, that's what it is. Can't stand it.
So repeat that again.
BS. Can't stand it.
No, I want to hear it. So I highlight. Alright, so this is the material mask. I think it's immense way.
And it is an effort.
Yeah, it's
and
definitely.
Did you say waste of time as well? Did you say
is stunting an effort, or is it positive or negative?
It's an effort. I don't know. Do you know what? Alright, I'll be honest. Let me put my serious hat on. It is an effort, stunting. Like you're making a conscious effort to stunt, to look a certain way, to flash certain cash. You have certain jewelry, watches, whatever it is, your attire, your clothing, your garments. Positive or negative, it's I think it's double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So positive, because if you're aspiring, even if this person they're stunting, they ain't got BS in the bank account or don't have their own property or whatever it is, you stunting can actually aspire someone to want to achieve, like in their own field. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
At the same time, it's a negative because don't portray you're living this life and living this way. And all of these rap videos are springing to mind right now. And make someone feel lesser and go out and do a madness to go and get the P's to do the same thing you're doing. There's bigger things to worry about in life. And one of the things, because I'm not on this Instagram thing apart from with the fully booked camp here, since these guys have introduced me to Instagram,
I say nothing.
I don't know what the joke is. But anyway, since these guys have introduced me to Instagram, I've had a few searches, and one of the things that really pees me off, literally, like a couple of people get money and they all wear the same, they promote the same type of garments, and I'm just like, do you see what you're doing? Like, it's just shameful. Like, it always looks, it's embarrassing, it's awful. Like, is that the pillock of success? Pillar. What's pillock? Is that the pillar of success that you have your? I'm not going to name any of these badges. I don't want to highlight them. Is that the pillar of success that you have this? Like, you're stunting. It's disgusting. Like, I hate it.
So
I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
I think when I think of stunting as well, I think it's a lot to live up to and be able to kind of maintain living that kind of lifestyle. Yeah. And then how are you going to feel when you're no longer able to? All that mask drops.
You know how tiring that must be.
That's shame in terms of not having it no more if you can't maintain it.
Is it P?
No, I think it's shameful. I mean, I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like, if I'm pulling that back a little bit, I'm just looking at individuals who probably didn't have much, obviously, when they were younger, and I think now they've got the financial means to actually buy those things. It makes them feel really good, kind of thing. But I think you need to kind of grow out of that type of mentality.
Maybe it's a young. Maybe us young guys who are shopping a lot more.
I agree in that.
You realise what's important in life, man. Do you know what I mean? What's important long term? Yeah. I'm telling you. For me,
I think
anyway.
there's different levels to that as well. In terms of, I think as a culture, we tend to stunt when we don't have anything in general. Do you know what I mean? But as I think more going on your point, Mace, there are positive and negatives to it. I think when you're doing it to inspire people, and it's actually inspiring people, but without having to do the things that may be negative, I think that's a positive thing in itself. But when you start doing things to get like a negative, not even a negative reaction, but when you start doing negative things to get what you're seeing, and you're just doing the same thing, then obviously it becomes a cycle, and it's negative.
Listen, everyone's got like we've all got inbuilt survival techniques and all the rest of it. Like there's certain things that are not lawfully accepted, but I understand why people need to do it. And if you're doing it for the right reason, it might be wrong. You're doing it for the right reason. You're not going out to go to Selfridges and spend $2,000 on a stupid top, but your mum's got bills and you need a roof over your head and you have to do this. You're not killing anyone. You have to go and do certain things to make sure those bills can be paid so you have a roof over your head. I'm not saying I agree, but I understand.
Yeah.
Don't go and buy something for $2,000 and put on your chest and you got red letter bills coming through the post. I'm sorry, I'm not agreeing with that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the majority of the time when it does come to stunting, it's more that kind of self-fulfilling. It's to fulfill a sense of self rather than it.
Yeah.
To put bill to
It's
pay
again,
bills.
it's that
and stuff
mask.
like that.
It's that material mask, isn't it? The irony is, for so many people, all that. Did you want to jump in there, Picos?
No, semi, but at the same time, I think people. No, what I wanted to touch on actually was, I mean, we had this conversation before, actually, in regards to like sharing stuff on Instagram. I think it was when I was away. I think Mason touched on a point with a post maybe I shared, and it might not be in that specific post, but I think the question he asked was, why did you put that post up? I forget the context of the conversation. He goes, was it a case of not me showing off? And I think I went on to say, actually, I felt really, really good at that time, like really happy at the time, and I just wanted to share with other people that I'm actually happy, that I was really happy. And I did a lot of posts at the time, and not that we went on a back and forth thing, but he was actually.
I was raising the point.
He was raising a point.
My point was, and it's come back to something we discussed earlier about the need to share, the greatness in sharing a lovely moment that you've had in your life with a significant, not even a significant other, but just another.
Yeah.
That I feel will allow you to have a bond for life because only you two share that experience.
Yeah.
And I think it was you were in somewhere like Nicaragua.
Yeah,
was you in Nicaragua?
Yeah.
You was in Nicaragua, and you had put like a post up and like an amazing picture, sunset view, something, or the morning sun, or something like that. And I said to you, like, if you're so happy being so alone, why do you need to share that with people and to get likes and to get comments? If you're so happy being alone, why do you need to share that? Why don't you take the picture and leave it on your phone? And I said it's because for me, we love to share and have a sense of sharing that moment with other people, and we can go back on that memory, even if it's an Instagram post, go back on the memory and talk about it, because that's what makes life for me. Do you get what I'm saying? When you can share and talk about those experiences.
Yeah.
And you disagreed. You said, I just felt so lovely at the time, I just wanted to show it. No, I just wanted to put it out there. But why the need? You can just put it on your own phone and look at yourself.
No, I think, you know, it's funny, he was saying that, I was thinking to myself, actually, he's saying what I said, so I don't know, I'm not saying that he's misquoting what he said, but for me it was about want to share with other people as to how happy I was at the time. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, whereas other people might have different motives as to why they're sharing this and that. I think in this example here, I think the guy's he's talking about being on a first class seat. I'm not too sure if he's on a train or a plane, and he's taking a picture that he's on a first class seat. I ain't doing all that. I ain't got time for that. I'm taking a picture that I'm in first class. I mean, personally, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's completely different to what I was sharing. I was sharing an experience. Actually, I'm actually so happy at this moment in time. I can't actually stop smiling. I come out my door and I see a seafront. I see blue skies. I see a pool right in front of me. Drinks, girls. What more can I ask for? Breakfast. What more can I ask for? At that time in the morning. Life's good. I can't complain. I'm happy. I'm sitting in my, what do you call those things that just rock you from left to right? I was going to say a gazebo, not a gazebo, a hammock. Life is amazing at that particular point in time. I can't complain. I'm living life for free, and I'm working. All I'm doing is just playing tunes, and that's it. You know, life is good, mate. I can't complain. Why wouldn't I want to share that with the rest of the world?
The irony is,
Yeah, the irony.
for so many people, all that materialism invalidates the quality of a person's ideas. There's nothing Ty can do to get those people to hear him, which just drives me further to convince you that they care about you screaming, "I love you," louder and louder, right in your face at the top of their lungs and the veins bulging out their neck. You don't hear the words, you only see the vulgar display. And that's from page 71. Are you inspired or disgusted by vast displays of wealth?
Inspired or disgusted?
It depends.
That's a very good question.
It depends. If you're doing it for inspiring purposes, then I do like it. If you're doing it to, I don't know, if there's a kind of like, I think gloating is the wrong word, but if there's a gloating emphasis and energy behind it, then I'm like, I start kind of like frowning a little bit, kind of thing. You know, well, I don't like it, no.
French, can you go and answer it next?
Sorry,
Can you answer that question next?
Am I inspired?
Yeah.
I'm
or disgusted.
I'm more inspired personally.
Are you ever disgusted? Are you ever disgusted?
Am I ever disgusted? When it's tacky and
Distasteful,
there's no class to it, then yeah, I am disgusted because it's just.
What about when someone like Floyd Mayweather does it? Are you inspired?
I'm inspired, but again, it depends on what he's doing in particular. Like, if I see someone having a whole stack of money and burning it, like, but that's a display of wealth. But I find
What
that
display of
disgusting.
wealth?
But it's some form of, and when you're doing a money phone and all that shit, like, that for me is not inspiring. Like, what's inspiring is if you see, again, if you want to revert back to Money Mayweather, him having his own fleet of jets or whatever it may be, or even there's many different.
Yeah, no, good answer.
varieties.
Come back. Oh, very good answer. Very good answer. Very good answer.
But yeah, that's how I see it. I'm more inspired than I am disgusted, because I try and see the positive in terms of, this is someone that can do it. I can do the same thing, if not better, if I choose to, and I believe in myself. So I'm very inspired by vast of display of wealth, should I say?
Yeah. No, good answer. I revert back to one of my previous points I made.
Yeah.
Which I pretty much laid everything on the table and just said, it depends. It's the context. It depends on, you know, if someone's going out and they're buying a $2,000 jumper when they've got bills coming through the post, or their mum's struggling to feed their little sister, and stuff like that. Like, but I went to my little cousin's birthday party. Yeah, I don't know what tune came on, and about 10% of me did find it funny at the time, but I can't remember what tune came on. And so my little cousin, she's from Bush. She had a birthday party, and Shepherd's Bush, yeah, West London. And a tune came on, and all these young boys, they must have been in their early 20s. They started burning money, and I was started thinking, like, there is someone I know for a fact in your family. I know for a fact, even though I do not know any of you personally, that could do with that £20. You lot are burning £20. Are you being for real? Disgusting. Disgusting. It's horrid. It's horrid. It's horrid. How can you devalue the worth of money when I know there's someone in your family, there's someone in that venue that could do with that £20?
Yeah.
Are you taking a effing piss? No, seriously. Are you being for real? Are you being for real? Disgusted. I can't believe all of that bullshit that goes on. I cannot believe it. Even when I was younger, I'm not going to say the person's name, I went to a party or a rave in West Ealing in, what's that little, there's like an alleyway in West Ealing, or a little cul-de-sac of a road.
About, yeah.
A little cul-de-sac of a road. It used to be a barber shop down there.
Yeah.
Dean's Place?
Yeah, that's the name of the place.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah, the name of the cul-de-sac, yeah.
I went to, there was something there that you could go upstairs and there's a venue. And one tune came on, an old school tune. Dubwise. Do you remember that tune? Old school girls tune. Do you remember it or not? There's a tune that come on. Yeah, I remember a certain character in this dance, yeah, he was well known in the area. The tune came on, yeah, and as soon as the tune came on, he started flinging his money on the floor. Don't get it twisted. He's flinging on the floor. Don't get it twisted. You think anyone could reach down and pick up his money? Nah, brother. You know what I mean? But it's just things like that when I see, especially, I'm not, just because I'm black, but I see black people doing that, I think, come on, man, look where we've come from. Do you know what our people, when they came over in the 40s and 50s, in their 50s and that, do you know what our people went through? 60s, 50s? Do you know what our people went through? Like, do you know what our people went through? Hard graft to get this peso.
Yeah,
and you lot are disrespecting the thing like that. Like, give it back to our people. Give it to your person, your neighbour you've never met, who you know needs it. Post it for the letterbox. And you're burning money. I ain't got time for any of that stuff. I'm sorry. I've not got time for it. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Sorry behaviour, bro.
It's awful, bro.
Is there any amount of money or material commodities you'd be satisfied with?
It's not important to me. Sorry, I'm on one right now.
Do your thing, bro.
It's not, listen to me, and I've said before, but fortunately, and you touched on it, Adele, we live in the Western world, in a society where, for me, money equals an element of choice. I love to travel. How do I get abroad? Plane, train, boat, car, whatever. These things all cost money.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I would love to live in a society where there's no money. Do you get what I'm saying? But unfortunately, that's the way our world is governed, or at least where we are is governed. So, I've forgotten French's question.
Do these commodities matter? Is that as you were saying?
Yeah. Is there any
Any amount? I don't have an amount that would. I just want to get to a position where I feel free. I can make any choice I want, and I don't have to think about what's in the bank or what. I want to get to that point. And I don't know what that point is. For certain people, it'll be different points. Do you get what I'm saying? But that's the point I want to get to, where I can just feel free to make choice, because money, you cannot die with your money. Yes, you can leave it to the next generation or whatever. You can't die with your money. So just like, what's important to you? Strip away money. What is important to you? What gets you going? What gets you ticking? That's the real truth of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think, again, you probably know, Lee, that from my life experiences, there's nothing more than that I love than having a passion for life. And for me, that will be about things like travelling. But if I had this unlimited amount of money coming in, the amount of travelling and experience, they wouldn't have the same meaning, because it would just be disposable money. I can just do what I want, and it wouldn't have the same meaning.
So, Pete, did you want to add anything to that?
No, not really. I mean, like, I know on the subject of like material and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that I feel that I've kind of like maybe cemented my feeling as to material. We've talked about athletic and so on and so forth, but certainly material. I remember like at college, there's one in particular individual. I don't know if it was a year. I think he was same year younger than me anyway. I think it was really, really cool. We generally used to have like kind of like wide ranging conversation, and I remember just like going straight to the point. He was quite specific in that, like, because you think I ain't got no. Well, I wasn't being derogatory towards him, but he was like, "Do you think I got no money because I'm dressed poorly?" And then from there, I mean, he showed me some money, but that wasn't really the point. He made me kind of like change my mindset, to the point where it made me think, actually, because these people are well dressed, it doesn't mean they've got money. It doesn't mean they stand for this. It doesn't mean they stand for that. You can be really dressed down and actually have a lot going for you, whether it means you've actually got a lot of money or you have a really good personality and stuff like that. And again, I see that translate into traveling and stuff like that. I've come across so many, again, obviously everyone's dressed down when they're traveling. No one's putting on a real effort or this and that and the third. Everyone's just wearing shorts, flip-flops, and what have you, or some beat down Converse and stuff like that. Truth be told, the only currency is your personality. And your personality and experiences you've had. That is your currency.
Only currency is your personality. I'm going to take that on board.
That's your only currency, is your personality.
It's fun, like, touching on that.
Jesus, bug me on that one.
What we need to realise is that we are...
We got there in the end.
What we need to realise is that we are valuable, regardless of what we have. We need to recognise that while living behind a material mask, there will never be such a thing as enough when it comes to a sufficient sense of self-worth as a man. This means that what it all comes down to is gratitude. That's on page 80. Men, live in gratitude. Someone who is grateful for what he has, no matter how little it is, will be more open to living a joyful life. When we live in gratitude, life gives us more to be grateful for.
Yes.
You need to remember that you are not a winner based on results. You are a winner based on a combination of things, the most important of which are your values and contributions. An insecure and unhappy man who achieves material success will remain insecure and unhappy. Now it goes on to give you tips for daily gratitude practice. And again, I think we touched on it. If you want to read some of those out, and that's on page 82.
Alright, so there's 5 tips on page 82 of The Mask of Masculinity by Lewis Howes. Tip 1, when you wake up, take out your journal and write down 3 things for which you are grateful. Number 2, before you go to sleep, ask the last person you talk to 3 things they are most grateful for from the day. And in reply, tell them what you are grateful for from the day too. Number 3, my voicemail message asks people to share what they are most grateful for when they leave a message. Feel free to copy the idea. I won't be. Number 4, start meetings with your team or business partners with a moment that allows everyone to share what they are grateful for. I think that's important. I think that's really important. Start on a positive. Number 5, acknowledge people daily with a few words that express what you're grateful for about them. I actually really liked those 5 points on the material mask. And I really liked you brought it up, but you didn't really highlight it. I liked the thing about the material mask where you said about gratitude. And I've said this before in maybe a previous episode, just amongst the boys, that I feel like, strive for more, but just remember what you have. Because if you're always striving but are not happy with what you have, you'll never be happy. Like, literally, always remember what
gratitude.
You do have.
Yeah.
Like,
that is gratitude.
Yeah, there's nothing with striving, but just remember, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this. And that's why there's 5 points, they reminisce as well. If you're not going to remember, note it down. 3 things you're happy for. Mother's cooking, whatever it is, you get what I'm saying? Be like note them down, because some people don't have, a lot of people don't have what you have. You don't realise it because you're too busy seeing what the next person has, what you don't have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'd write down 3 things every day, part of my 5-minute journal. So that's definitely something that I do actively anyway. Do you know what I mean?